back. If you're just joining us, this is KTN Life and Style. Our main topic today is all about endometriosis. And if you're just joining us again, we've already had quite an interesting story by an endo warrior, Stacy. And the beautiful part is, guess what? We got you.
Is it at that point when you're getting the menstrual cramps that are really just not going away even after medication? Is it at that point that you take medical advice?
Oh yes. Oh yes. In fact, what we advise girls, not even leave even the age at the age of women, when they're much older, even young girls. Honestly, after 3 months of menstruation and you have, painful periods, you really ought to go and see a gynecologist to rule out that there is nothing wrong. There is no underlying condition. Actually, a period of even within 3 months of starting your period, if one is having, period pain, it's always good to go and have that checked out. Yeah. So even for women, unfortunately, we've grown up with the notion that, we need to vumilia, for lack of a better word.
That's true. That's true.
And that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been doing as women. But but we need to go and kind of, people kind of tribalize it. So you think that because your friend, your sister, your mom doesn't feel that pain, that maybe, it says something about you if you say that you need to see a doctor because of that. Yeah. But really, you should go and see a gynecologist, because such pain that is debilitating, that does not allow you to do your normal jobs, go to school, go to class, go to work, that is abnormal pain. That requires intervention, medical intervention.
I wish I could add on to that, in the sense that when you think of the type, the endo warrior that Doris has described, just imagine how they feel psychologically. They feel like they want to isolate themselves. They're afraid. They may not really understand what is going on in their bodies. They certainly don't want to go out, for social leisure activities. They feel, is this something because of who I am? Is something wrong with me? Is it my fault? There's so many negative psychological effects of that physical trauma that they're going through. And the same, of course, for the young girls,
And
going to school, participating in activities is so difficult. Because physical aspect that
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I like that you mentioned that all the psychological issues that happen to, the victims of endometriosis and just menstrual awareness in general. And I like how you've said it cuts across all ages. It could be the adolescent, it could be somebody in campus, a 29-year-old, it could be anyone. So maybe, Maggie, you could tell us, do you feel like, training and education on psychological matters and mental health and awareness is being fully impacted in, let's say, universities, colleges, and even primary schools and high schools?
It's so important. It's so critical, and it's great that as a society we are becoming more and more aware of the mental health needs of the whole spectrum of society. But certainly within the school setting, primary and secondary, it's so critical that these girls get the information that this is a recognized condition. There's treatment for it. They're not alone in this condition. They don't have to feel stigmatized because they have endometriosis or because they're having their periods. Simply, the need to give them a forum where they can express themselves, they can hear others speaking about it, they can hear those who have the resources say it's okay. We can walk through this together. That is so important, and I think that's one of the values of endo system with the older women. As women, we need those forums.
Exactly. I really, really, really love that, because I remember when I was in high school, there was a classmate, actually, we were in the same year, and every other time of the month, she used to be taken to a neighboring hospital just to get an injection, because her cramps were just over the roof. Sometimes she'd even faint. Like, it was so crazy. But even at the time, honestly, I feel like even if I had the term endometriosis, I just knew I probably can't even pronounce it, or, you know, it wasn't really highlighted as an issue.
Yes.
It is, to be honest, at the end of the day, just sad. That's why we're here. Endo Sisters in Africa. I'm so happy, especially that Maggie stated that you're now penetrating to the primary schools. I feel like that's the grassroots of it all. People should just grow up knowing there's no stigma to this. It's okay if it happens to you. And there is a way you can cope with the same. I mean, look at Stacey doing the most, right? All right. Now, I wanted to understand, Doris, yeah? What is the cause of endometriosis? Where does it all start?
It's actually not known. Yeah, that's actually part of the problem, in that, you know, if you don't know what causes it, then it kind of becomes difficult to resolve it. Yeah, but I guess maybe what I can say is that the most commonly sort of agreed on definition, or maybe cause of endometriosis, is what they call retrograde menstruation, where they say that, you know, it for in some ways menstrual blood, you know, tends to the tissues, the cells seem to flow back, and they're the ones that end up, you know, causing this problem. But again, that's highly debatable, you know. So like there are like 5 different reasons, because they even say that even at you know, even at birth, or even at if somebody has an operation, for example, a C-section, some of the scarring would result in that kind of in endometriosis. So actually, it's not known what causes endometriosis, but what we do know is that it's a condition that affects 1 in 10 women in the world. And in fact, just recently, for example, there was the census findings that came out, the Kenyan census findings, and we were just looking at the reproductive age group of women, you know, I think all the way from 15 till about maybe to 49 years. And we saw there were about like 12 million women in Kenya alone. So if you take 10% of that, we're saying like 1.2 million Kenyan women have possibly have endometriosis. So that's a big percentage. It's a really, it's a really big percentage. Yeah. And so that's the issue about endometriosis. And what they say endometriosis is that similar, you know, what Stacey was telling us, that tissue similar to that found in the lining of the uterus is found elsewhere in the body. Yeah, so it could manifest in the fallopian tubes, for example, in the ovaries. It could be found in the pelvic region. It happens to be found, that similar tissue is found in places it shouldn't be. And that's what causes a lot of havoc and a lot of pain. Yeah, and untreated, it causes a lot of complications and makes life really a nightmare, yeah, for girls and women.
100% unbearable. But so now we don't know the cause. So I'm thinking there is not necessarily a cure, like 100% guarantee cure.
Yes, there's no cure. Yes, there's actually no cure.
So is there a way we can manage it?
Yes, actually, yeah, management is what now is the only recourse for endometriosis. But the thing about management is that it's more effective when it's diagnosed early. Yeah. So at the stage, if it's diagnosed when a girl is, you know, when she's just started her menses in her early teens and all that, it's easier to mitigate. And mitigating is just trying to, you know, manage it. It's easier to manage it. And make sure that it doesn't progress as fast as it should. Yeah. Let me give you an analogy that might make it more understandable. You know, when we talk about soil erosion, yeah, there are some places where there's a lot of landslide, right? Yes. But if you put those trenches, remember when you dig the trenches, even if there's the soil is eroding, it goes and it stops in that trench, yeah? So it doesn't all go, you know, all the way down to the bottom. At least, and then it also allows the crops to grow, isn't it? Because all the soil doesn't disappear. In that way, we are managing soil erosion, for example, if it's in a hilly area and all that. So it's a mitigating way, and even though the soil continues to move, it still continues to move, to slow downwards, but at least there's some mitigation. You can still see some crops growing and all that. It's the same principle. with even endometriosis. When you get early diagnosis, you can put that mitigation in place early, so that at least, the kind of medication girls are put on early, it helps to mitigate. There may be problems, it's still progressing, but at a slower rate. And she's able to have quality of life. When we talk about like the plants that continue to grow, the crops, her quality of life continues to grow, continues to move on. She's not like, it's not like in that case where now there was no mitigation. So that landslide just went all the way downhill with everything, and you have no quality of life. Yes. Yeah, I think that's the best analogy that I can give.
It brings everything in perspective now.
Yes, puts everything in perspective. Yeah. So early diagnosis is key, because early diagnosis then puts you on the right medication. It limits the amount of complications that you would have. It puts you on a good management plan by your doctors. You get on a good diet plan, and also helps in preserving fertility, because that's actually one of the key issues of endometriosis, is that some women, about 30 to 50% of women, end up getting infertility.
Yes. Yeah. All right, Stacey, with everything that's being done in regards to endo victims, how would you, or rather, what would you feel like would be an addition to the same, especially to adolescent girls?
Okay. Personally, I think for now, awareness will do.
Yes.
Because when I first heard of endometriosis, literally, that was so new to me.
Yes.
I never knew anything as fibroids or any other complications that comes along with menstruation. So I would feel that if there was so much room for women to actually make this an awareness, not only for endometriosis, but any other complications that come along, it will really do for people out here who go through menstruation cramps that are quite abnormal.
All right. Yeah. All right. I love that. And then again, we wanted to, I feel like there is a lot that the Endo Sisters community is doing for the rest of the nation, and of course across the borders, which is really commendable. But Doris, maybe you can tell us, for the parents with adolescent daughters, where should they start this conversation? And if they already have existing children or other victims who are victims to endometriosis, how would you advise them to go about it?
Okay. Well, first of all, the first thing is endo warriors, like being referred to as endo warriors, not victims, because then the power is taken away from them.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah. So the first thing,
I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
The first thing is to tell the parents. No problem. No, I know you're not used to the language. The first thing is to just let the parents know the victim mentality, but to take on that warrior championing mentality. It's something that we can get over. So the thing is just to ensure that they're taking that, if their daughters are complaining of menstrual pain, take them to a gynecologist. I mean, it's the first course of action. Take them to a gynecologist. And one other thing that I always advise parents to do is ask your daughter to start keeping a diary of how her menses are manifesting every particular time, because that history is really going to help the doctor in coming up with a diagnosis, and also knowing what to suspect and those kind of things, how to deduce what's going on. Exactly. So keeping a diary, and also for parents to be sensitive when the girls say they've got this menstrual cramps and all that, unbearable, let them be taken for a checkup. I mean, just rule it out. And be sure that it's not endometriosis.
All right, thank you.
Or any other condition for that matter.
All right, thank you so much. And Maggie, for the institutions, of course, a lot is already being done, but what would you feel that the institutions would do more?
Well, one of the things that we're doing where I work is that we actually have organized and are planning for Doris and the team to come and speak to the ladies. Not even just the ladies, to speak to the whole community.
Yes.
Because even the gentlemen need to understand what is going on with their sisters. So that is a big step to create that awareness that Stacey talked about, to create that understanding that there's room, there's a place, there's somebody to speak to. There's somebody who has heard, who who knows what you're going through. You know, for them to express and to hear, to get information. I think that's a big step. And I know that there are plans even to go to other universities.
Yes.
Endo Sisters has those plans. That is key. To begin that awareness, that opportunity for people to hear, for young girls to hear and to have a chance to express.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love
allow me just to add on something to what Doris was saying about just in terms of management. One of the things that Endo Sisters is doing is to create forums where women can come together and support each other.
Yes.
Where they can cry together, they can laugh together, they can see that, oh, I'm not alone. This is something we can walk through together. And that is a significant aspect of managing, you know, the whole menstrual wellness area.
That's literally creating a safe space for all of us to just warm in together, you know. I love that. I love that. I'd love to see that. And I'm honestly looking forward to attending one of your, you know, next year March. We have to wait till next year March.
Currently now with this Corona business, I mean, a lot of the activities, may not happen.
Yeah. It's okay. We can organize a virtual one.
Yes. Yes. We are very open to that.
Yeah, that would be really nice. All right, Doris, just kindly talk to us a little bit about your foundation, the Endo Sisters East Africa, maybe when it began, where we can find your contacts, and even your personal contacts, if you would like to.
Okay, yeah. So Endo Sisters is an organization that it's a social advocacy organization that engages in community activities. And, you know, we do this in support of, you know, social justice for women who are suffering, or I mean, women who have the condition of either endometriosis and even other menstrual disorders, because, you know, we understand the whole pain of living with this condition.
Yes.
And we have, and our mission really is to inform, to educate, and also advocate. We advocate, and one of the things that we do in terms of advocating is, you know, we've been writing to the ministries, we've been seeking audience, both Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, you know, just trying to get this conversation started and get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
We are very passionate, especially about adolescents. For us, our focus is really adolescent menstruation, menstrual health in adolescents. That's our primary focus. And we really targeted school-going girls and really the whole adolescence community. So the ones in high school and not primary as yet, high school and universities, colleges and youth, you know, like the YMCA and that kind of thing.
Yes.
We were established, now Endo Sisters East Africa was formed 5 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, it started off as a program of a church called Gospel Preachers Church in Thika. And and then it has grown, and last year we were able to actually register as a foundation. Now it has its own independent registration, yes, now as a foundation, and we have continued to continue to work and all that, and we have an existing board, and and so we continue to pursue this this mission, the education, especially through the Ministry of Health and through Ministry of Education. I should also add that we are also in collaboration with other organizations. Remember, we talked about it's not just Kenya for us. We are also in collaboration with organizations in Ethiopia and Rwanda as well.
Exactly. I love that. And where can we find you? Maybe on social media?
Well, we have a website. Just Google Endo Sisters East Africa. You'll www.endosisterseastafrica.org. We're on Facebook, Endo Sisters East Africa. You can get us on Twitter at Endo Sisters EA, and again at Instagram, Endo Sisters EA. Yeah.
Lovely. I love that. Stacey, kindly quickly share your social media handles.
Okay. Actually on only Instagram. It's at miss.ile_.
Yes.
And Snapchat, it's at sbetty917m.
Okay, no, it's no longer just Instagram. Snapchat doing
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Stacey.
Thank you too.
I'm sure you're inspiring a lot of people. You're such an endo warrior. I've learned something that I should keep in mind. Endo warrior.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Doris and Maggie. That was such a lovely, insightful, very elaborative conversation. I'm looking forward to more.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. You're most welcome. All right. Have a lovely day.
Yeah.
You too.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
What an informative and elaborative conversation that was. I really do admire Stacey and all the Endo sisters, Endo warriors out there. You go ahead and keep conquering. All right, now up next is Nuggets of Wisdom with none other than Bishop Welly Odendo.
Hi, my name is Welly Odendo, and you're watching Nuggets of Wisdom right here on KTN. Today we want to look at building bridges. The unfortunate thing about many of us is that we don't see the value of people who have played a key role in our life once they have done their part, and it appears as if our value has exceeded their place in our lives. Unfortunately for some of us, whenever somebody has played a key role in your life and you have been able to transition from one stage to another stage, you begin to feel as though now that person is no longer important. I want to show you that in life, there is always a pattern and there is always a path. In the path that you're going, you will need bridges. But as you're going through that path, you will discover that there are people ahead of you, or there are places you will get to in life that you will need another bridge. And a bridge comes into place to help you transition from one place to another. Now, how do you build these bridges? And how do you ensure that these bridges play a key role and you retain these bridges to play a key role in your life? The first thing about building bridges is that you must learn the principle of humility. Unfortunately, as people increase in value, they lose their humility. Your increase in value does not necessarily mean you've increased in wisdom. A higher pay does not mean higher knowledge. A higher driving car or a bigger community does not necessarily mean you have increased in wisdom. And that is why you must predominantly make sure that you carry yourself with humility. Make sure that you don't go around showing people that you have become better than even the people who introduced you in the game, who helped you build a bridge that you may cross over in the game. Humility is always important if you're going to stay long in the path of life, because once you pass through humility, and if you take the path of humility, you will find people automatically helping you to build bridges. Secondly, you must have an appetite to learn. When it comes to building bridges, information is what makes you instrumental. When you're building a bridge, it is important to know that every person has something to teach you. Every person has an insight to share with you. Sometimes it's not the people who are above you that know something, but when you treat every person like a teacher, you are showing people that you are actually willing to learn. And when people see that you're willing to learn, they will not be afraid to bring you critical information that may be instrumental in how you produce your results. Thirdly, you must treat people with respect. When it comes to respect, you must always allow people to have their space and have their lines. People automatically, when they grow in value, they begin to become bullies, they begin to become hard-headed, they begin to be high-handed, and they begin to feel like they own people and people owe them. Unfortunately, life has a path and life has a pattern. As you go through the path of life, where you see your high today, life may bring you to a place where you may find yourself needing to go back to where you started. That is always the pattern of life. And so that when you go back to that pattern, if you never treated people with respect, your role as a person is to give people the dignity of life, the presence of value, the same value your office has given you. Use your office, use your money, use your car, use everything that you have been endowed with by Providence to ensure that people are having dignity in what they are doing. In doing so, you will consistently find that people will not be afraid and people will not wish for your downfall, because they know that you have helped them, and should anything happen in your life, how you treated people with respect will determine how people will treat you should the pattern of life change on you. My name is Welly Odendo, and you've been watching Nuggets of Wisdom right here on KTN.
what an informative show that was. I have learned so much, and I know you have too. Thank you so much for staying tuned in all this time, and a big shout out to our guest today. It was so nice having you, and of course we're gonna have them next time, because this conversation we cannot exhaust. Now let's keep conversing and interacting across all social media platforms using the hashtag KTN Life and Style, and follow our page on KTN Home _. You can also follow me on Instagram, on Twitter at _Nixie. Until next time, have a lovely day.